Let's take a look at reflections. In X-ray we use reflection actors to add reflection to objects. And the way it works is that you select one or multiple objects and press the Add Reflection Actor button. It will create this new object called Reflection Actor. And these objects capture the surrounding environment, an image of the surrounding environment, and apply it to these objects as a reflection. This is also the method which is used in game engines like Unreal. But one of the differences here is that here we have reflection actors per objects. So you can have two objects very close to each other which use different reflection actors. Let's take a look at these buttons and then we create our reflections. The first one is of course for adding the reflection actor. With this button you can reassign a reflection or a reflection actor to an object. So for example, if I change the material of this object, I can press this button and it will reassign its reflection to that new material. But I can also use it to assign another reflection actor to this object. For example, this one has the reflection actor 2 assigned to it. I can select it and select another reflection actor and press the Apply to Mesh. Now that this object will use this reflection actor. This button will be selected reflection actor. I can select this and press this button. And this button will bake all reflections in the scene. This button will add a new material to the reflection actor using selected core. So if I have turtle, it will create a plane material. If I have redshift, it will assign a redshift material to the selected reflection actor. And same goes for other engines. And this one will assign the default material of the reflection actor to the selected actor. Okay, so first let's bake all the lights. Okay. And as you can see, the reflection actors are also get hidden after you bake lights. Let's increase the shadow samples. And rebake the light to get a cleaner shadow. Okay. And now we can bake our reflection actors. Or actually, let's remove them and make new ones. I can either select these three objects, add a reflection actor. It will create actor in the middle of these objects. And while this actor is selected, I can just press the build reflection. And the reflection build is done. And we don't see any reflection at the moment. One reason is that our material is currently Lambert and it doesn't support reflection. So let's either change this one to Bleen, or I can create a new material, set it to Bleen, reassign Lightmap, and press the Apply to Mesh button to reassign the reflection. Now if we increase the reflection, we still don't see any reflection on the mesh. One reason for that is that our reflection core is currently set to turtle, while all the lights that we have are from Arnold, and it can't see those lights and make a reflection from it. Also, turtle doesn't even support a light mesh in Maya default lights. So if you're using lights from other engines, or if you're using Maya's default light but you are using turtle for baking reflections, you can just select these lights and press the light mesh button, and it will create these planes in place of your lights for making reflections. Now let's try again. Sometimes, actually most of the times, when you bake reflection, it doesn't automatically get updated, so you need to press the reload maps button to update the reflection maps. And we can now see reflections in that object. Let's try adding a plain material to these two as well. And they also now have reflection. Now you can see that the light plane doesn't have a very good quality. You can either increase the resolution of this reflection actor. Let's try it. Let's see how it works. Which now gives us this very clean result. Or you can use your low resolution but apply a filter to the reflection. By default it removes the MIP mapping filter of the reflection actors to give you a cleaner result, but you can at any time select the mesh, right click and apply to mesh and press the apply with filtering, and now you can see that the edges are cleaner. But sometimes it gives you an artifact, a line in the middle of the reflections. Currently it doesn't have that. If you try to scale these light planes, you can see that it doesn't work because they are connected to your actual light. So if you move or scale these lights, these planes also get updated. Okay, so let's make the reflection more accurate, so we can actually see the reflection of this plane on this object and also get the proper reflection of these shapes over each other. And to do that, we add a new reflection actor for each one of these objects. And now if we build our reflections, you can see that we don't get a proper reflection at all, and that's because the reflection actors are inside of these objects, and that's actually what it captures, the inside of these meshes. So if we want to bake a proper reflection, we should either disable two-sided and build reflection, which will give you a better result, or you can hide this object and build reflection and then bring it back. And this is only an issue with Turtle, so if you're using any other of these engines, for example Arnold, build all reflections, you can see that they render correctly. And this is because in other cores we have these options, auto hide and reflection bake, and basically says that when you're baking this reflection actor, first you should hide any of the objects assigned to that actor. So it will automatically hide the object first and then bake the reflection. When you're using other cores beside Turtle, I also recommend that you use this checkbox, disable Lightmap for reflection build. And basically what it does is it first disable the Lightmap view and then build the reflection, which is pretty much rendering the whole scene. It is still pretty fast, but it is more accurate, and it shows all the effects of the scene. You also don't need to use these planes anymore when using this checkbox. So if you want to see the difference, this is how it looked like with this checkbox enabled. And if I disable it, I should also use these planes. And it will look like this. You can see that the intensity of the lights are not really that good, and the brightness that you see in the scene also comes from these light planes, so if I remove them you don't really see that much. So I recommend that you hide these and enable this checkbox instead. Unless it's taking baking reflections in your scene takes a lot of time, which in that case you can just disable this option and bake reflections from the Lightmap. Okay, so let's take a look at the roughness. In X-ray, if you want to change roughness, you should change it from the reflection actor. So if I have these two objects and I want to make one of them rough and the other shiny, I should first add a different reflection actor for each one of them, and then create a new material for their reflection actors and change the roughness from there. And this only works with Redshift, V-Ray and Arnold. The rough materials are not supported with Turtle. Of course, there is a still way to make rough effects using the maps created by Turtle, but the easiest way, I guess, is to just use Arnold, or if you have Redshift or V-Ray, you can use them. So I'm going to use Arnold, and I already created a new material for this reflection actor. I'm going to change the roughness to something like that. For this one, I'm going to keep it at 0. And now if I make these reflection actors, you can see that the reflection is changed. At this one, it is now we now have a rougher reflection. So let's remove the color from these two and just increase the specular roll-off. And if you get this weird line, this is an issue with one of the maps in Maya, and the only way to fix it is to remove the filtering. So apply the reflection without filtering and that line will disappear. Now let's and that's how you get different roughness and create a basic reflection. Now let's check something else. Let's say this object is red, and let's remove the specular roll-off. And now if I bake reflection of this object, reflection actor of this object, I should see a red teapot in its reflection. But you can see that it looks wrong, and this is because of the specular color. So to get a actual color when using Arnold, you should disable or just set the specular color to black. And now if I bake the reflection actor, can see that this object is now its actual color. We can try it in with this one as well. Let's turn it green, and you should also make sure that this object doesn't have a specular color. Let's build reflection again. And you can see it now. And that's pretty much it with the all reflection and the roughness. Now what if we want to have planar reflections? For example, seeing the reflection of these objects on the ground. We can try adding a reflection actor. Lower it down and build reflection. This object should also have a plane shader. So let's reassign light and reflection. And now you can see that it's just not working the way we expect. While this can actually work and be useful in many scenes with rough floors, but if you want to have a clean reflection, this just might not be enough for you. So a workaround to that is to create a fake reflection. As currently X-ray doesn't have any shader or other technique to create this sort of reflection. And the fake reflection actually works thanks to the ability to copy objects with Lightmap. To do that, we should set transparency of the floor to a lower value so we can actually see underneath, and then just select this object, create a copy. You can group them and set the scale to -1. And now we have something like this. It actually works and it's quite fast. And you can create different effects using it. For example, I can add a scene deformer. And make the reflection look like that. Yeah, things like that. And if you want to extend it even further, if you assign a map to this floor, we can set a something like maybe this. And we can also assign this map to its opacity. Like that. And you can also create a color remap. And now we can limit it to look like this. Okay, so now let's say if we want to change the reflection color or create a metal map. So changing the reflection color is actually pretty easy. Just go to reflected color, and here you have a color that you can change, and this is actually your reflection color. Like that. And if you want to assign a map, if you have a if you use metalness or something like that, you need to have a metallic map. You should assign it to alpha of this color, and you can also assign the color of your material, the diffuse color or albedo, to the color of the reflection. So for example, I can set this material and if I instead of assigning it to reflection color, if I assign it to the diffuse color, like this, which is not very metallic. And you can assign it to both channels, both the reflection color and diffuse color, and it will look something like that. But if I just assign it to the reflection color, it is going to be a pure metal material. In future versions, it is going to be possible to just set all the PBR maps through the easy texture window, but currently if you want to manually do it, you should assign it this way. So if I have a metallic map, let's say this checker is my map, I assign it to this color, and I also have to have this the same map assigned to the diffuse color, and also assign the same metallic map to the diffuse, but I have to invert it, which is going to be like this. And just to make it more obvious, I'm going to change the map of the non-metal area like that. We have these metal parts, and the wooden part is non-metal. Now I also have to add that in many cases the metal part and the non-metal part doesn't have the same amount of reflectivity. So you can also use the metal map on the reflectivity or a specular roll-off to control the reflection, which is pretty much the same way, just assign the same map. And make sure that the color is assigned to the reflection, not the alpha. And now you can control the reflection of each part individually. Like that. And just to explain it one more time, you assign the non-metal part to the default color. You assign an inverted version of the metallic map to the alpha of the color, and then you assign the metal map to the reflection color and the metallic map to alpha of the reflection color. Okay, so let's see how we can use maps from things like Quixel or different websites. So first let's remove the reflection and metal colors. Same for this one. So now I'm going to open Content Browser, head to your texture directory. So here I'm going to use Quixel. Something like this one. Now, first make sure that you are viewing your material in the attribute editor. And now just click on the albedo to assign the albedo map. Click on the normal map to assign the normal map. And for the roughness, you can right click, assign it to reflectivity. And you can also assign displacement map by right clicking, use for displacement map. If you're using Maya 2020, it can't show the displacement map, but if you're using newer versions, you can select your map, hit Alt+3, and it will show the displacement map in viewport. Now let's lower the reflectivity, and we have a map like this. And now let's try it another map for this one. Maybe this map. So view the material, click on the albedo normal, and you can use roughness as reflectivity to mask the reflection. And something like that. And you can tile the texture by modifying the UV. Now this part is for making Lightmap UVs. The first button will use Maya Auto UV to create a Lightmap UV for you. The second one will copy your current UV map, and this last one will copy the UV and layout it. So for example, in objects like these ones, it has UVs but they are overlapping. We can set the copy layout, and it'll create a Lightmap UV and lay out these beside each other.